I really like the 1000 Year Door. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that it's probably one of my favorite games of all time. So of course, I'm really hyped for the remake that's releasing in less than a month, which actually feels unreal, wow. Since I also hate waiting for things to release though, it's great that the 2-month wait got broken up by the release of a new demo for the 1000 Year Door Hero Mode. If you don't know, Hero Mode is an amazing mod for TTYD made by Reed that basically revamps the entire game, making it feel fresh by changing the dialogue, music, some of the mechanics, and also making the game about 20 times harder. It seriously cannot be understated how amazing this mod is. I had so much fun playing the 2 chapters that this so-called final demo has to offer that I think it's safe to say once the full release of this comes out, it'll probably be my favorite video game mod of all time. If you're a fan of the original game, I highly encourage you to go play this yourself before seeing all the crazy things it has to offer. And be sure to check out Reed himself. With that out of the way, here's how I beat the hardest Paper Mario mod. The game starts with the brothers getting a letter like in the original, however instead of it being from Peach, it's got an anonymous sender and just tells Mario to come to Rogueport and find the crystal stars in a straightforward and kinda harsh tone. With that out of the way, the game begins. After arriving in Rogueport and getting half of our money taken as a transportation fee, we immediately run into an altercation between Lord Crump and Goombella, as per usual. This is a very easy tutorial fight in the base game, which is actually similar in this version. It lets you get a grip for how this mod works, letting you figure out that your hammer actually does more damage than your jump at the start of the game, showing you the much more detailed title screen, which shows enemy weaknesses, individual attacks, and whether an enemy is super guardable or not, as well as telling you that this mod isn't messing around, since this guy has almost double the health of his original counterpart, does 3 times the damage, and has 2 little henchmen with him, who are very easy to be fair. All that being said though, this is still a pretty easy fight to start things off, and after escaping his army of X-Nauts, we arrive at the actual Rogueport. After a quick conversation with Goombella, my game was actually running very poorly, so I went and fixed that real quick. After squishing some contacts, buying a couple items, and getting more of my money taken from me, we can finally talk to the professor and get our adventure started. I think I'm just gonna get refund. And with that, it's time for the first regular fight. It's the classic Goomba trio, but they all have some more health, more damage, and move quite a bit quicker. There's also a couple more cool new mechanics that you find out in this fight, such as the fact that using Tattle doesn't use up a turn, that you can actually hammer any enemy, not just the one in front, which is a huge change, and that you can guard most items. These guys are still pretty easy enemies though, which is why I defeated a bunch more of them while moving through the sewers. I definitely didn't almost die in the prologue because of these spinniers, that's absolutely not a thing that happened. Well, after that, time to go open the first curse chest, the key for which is somewhere around here. Apart from this just being an absolutely hilarious change in the mod, the plane ability is actually majorly changed as well, since you can no longer only do it from these plane panels, but from anywhere in the world. After listening to the best song in the game for a bit, we can grab the first upgrade to our star power, which gives us Sweet Tweet and also the ability to super guard. If you don't know, TTYD gives you 2 different ways to guard enemy attacks. You can either press A for a regular guard, which lowers the damage you receive by 1 or more using certain badges. However, instead, you can also try to super guard an attack, which will not only negate all of the damage you will take, but also deals 1 damage to your attacker if they are touching you. This super guard is way harder to pull off though, and in hero mode, it's nerfed even further. The timing window you have to pull it off has been lowered from 3 frames to only 2 frames, and if you do pull one off, it costs you 25 star power. On top of that, while in the original game you can theoretically super guard everything except for like 5 specific attacks, in this mod a lot of enemies aren't super guardable at all. Now all that's left for the prologue is the blooper fight. Even though the music goes this crazy,
the music's so good, holy shit.
And the blooper's dialogue is awesome, he honestly also wasn't that hard. He's got some more health and damage, but is actually weak to fire attacks. So all that was needed was a fire flower and some regular attacks for the tentacles, and then some more hammers to his face to finish him off. Earning us our first level up, which I put into BP of course. Okay, on to the first chapter. Early Petal Meadow still isn't really all that bad. More Goombas, as well as these stronger Koopas, which of course have higher stats and also don't care much about being knocked over. There's some nice puzzles out here using the fact that you can become a plane wherever you want, but apart from that, it's immediately onto Petalburg, where you've got some more awesome music, some lore, and an email that tells you which items are and aren't guardable. Neat. After that, there's some more regular enemy encounters, followed by the fights at Strong Fortress, which I take care of using a power block and some hammer throws, and then, oh. Yeah, these guys are rough.
Had to use a couple of my items and also whipped out Sweet Treat for the first time, which is quite a lot faster than usual.
This hammer throw badge is really doing a lot of work here, since it pierces defense, meaning it does 3 damage to these guys, while my regular hammers would only do 1.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope he's not gonna use the Fire Flower.
Well, that's my first death, and only because I was extremely greedy. I mean, health blocks literally only cost 2 coins, I should have just probably spent those. I'm actually gonna keep a death counter in the corner from now on. Okay, after healing and easily defeating these guys afterwards, it's time for the incredible 67th Hero Mode Quirk Quiz. That didn't go so well. But it's not over yet. He just sends out some enemies, which honestly are easier than the fight against the 2 Koopa Trolls. I again had to use a couple items and came pretty close to death, but I managed to pull through. The sewers are actually much nicer, since there's no hallway to go through. You instead just arrive right at the stone. Oh, I didn't heal. I mean, I can still try. Okay, there's the second death. After healing, this fight was much more doable, resulting in another level up, which I actually decided to put into FP since I was running out pretty quickly because of my hammer throws. The fight on the left was honestly even easier, meaning it's just the special fuzzy left. He's got 25 health and 3 damage, so considerably stronger than in the original game. However, the horde still only does 1 damage at a time, meaning that you can simply block all of their attacks to not take any damage from them. Quick side note, I was using the slow stomp during this fight, which is another badge that's supposed to give the slow status ailment. However, it didn't do that even a single time out of the like 12 plus times I used it. All things considered though, this fight wasn't nearly as bad as I was expecting. I didn't even have to heal for the whole thing. Upon exiting this place, there's a great quality of life change, because the mover actually jumps out right after you, telling you that he wants to practice his moving skill, and if you let him, he just teleports you right back to Petalburg. I stocked up on a few items before making my way towards Hooktail Castle, running into Kupiyo's little dispute on the way. Okay, so this fight is definitely the reason the fuzzy fight wasn't that hard. You have to fight the fuzzies again, but this time Kupiku is also in here, who has another 25 HP and also 3 attack. I wasn't prepared for this fight whatsoever, and also she just did this after I flipped her over. Certainly wasn't expecting that either. There goes death number 3. However, going in knowing what to expect, it's time to give this an honest attempt. Yeah, that really sucks. Whatever, I was playing things way safer the third attempt, and the fight went very smoothly. With Koops now on our team, it's time to actually move on to Hooktail Castle. The enemies in this place are no joke. Immediately in the first room you've got stronger Goombas that deal a whopping 5 damage if they charge up, these guys that deal 8 damage to everyone if you don't take them out quickly, and these chain chomps that pierce defense dealing 3 damage to anyone. However, I guess you can also use the Bobolgs to your advantage, which made this fight way easier and probably saved my life. Interacting with this random Koopa's corpse gives us some important information, however this time it's not some kind of weakness of Hooktails, but actually a puzzle, telling you that the red, yellow and purple switches need to be put back in their original state before entering the spike room. Oh yeah, and then there's also this guy. Honestly, by himself this dude wouldn't really be all that difficult. His stats aren't that high, but for some reason he brought this whole damn crew with him. I think this is actually one of the hardest fights in this mod so far. I had to use a bunch of my items, use retreat as much as possible and play really optimally, and I still died twice to this dude. However, with the clutch bingo I was able to take care of this guy on the third attempt, resulting in another level up.
I'm definitely, actually, maybe I should go for HP. Should probably just go HP for now. Yep.
Afterwards, we've got some more nice puzzles utilizing the plane ability, and the second cursed chest, the key for which should be easy to get if you heeded the Koopa's note. This one isn't changed as much as the first one sadly, and the ability is also just the same as in vanilla. Using the newly acquired ability, we can get a cool badge, as well as the key that's needed to continue.
Aww. I think I'm actually just gonna do this. Oh my god. No. Okay.
While moving through this place, I fought a bunch more enemies, including some regular dry bones and these new buzzies, and I did pretty well at all these fights until I arrived at this one, which definitely caught me off guard. I was already pretty low on HP going in, and also did the worst sweet treat of all time, so yeah, number go up. I came into here prepared the second time, and with that, we're already at the top of the castle. The fights certainly don't get any easier out here, but luckily I had a bunch of items, a really helpful jump badge, and some insane guarding skills, so I could actually take care of everything out here, netting us yet another level up. Going up here, I was kinda confused, because I remembered there being a really hard fight here from a previous demo.
Wait, I'm confused. Oh, what the hell? There it is!
Honestly, good one, Reed. You got me. At least there's now a save block right before it, and the fight was pretty hard, but not nearly as bad as I remembered it being. The Typhoon badge is certainly insanely helpful for fights that have a lot of different enemies. Now all that's left is fighting Gloomtail. That's Gloomtail. I mean, to be fair, you never actually saw a dragon fly through the place before this point, and he even comments on the fact that he probably expected his sister to be here. Time for a pretty classic Gloomtail fight. He luckily doesn't have any defense and not quite as much damage as he would have once you fight him at the end of the regular game, but he's still no joke, with a whopping 80 health, poison and the ability to charge up. Well, here goes nothing. Okay, that actually wasn't that bad. I mean, what did you expect? Okay, there we go. And that's the end of chapter 1. You actually get the Ruby Star here, which gives you Art Attack. Before moving on to chapter 2, it's time for a Peach scene. There's some interesting plot points here. For instance, Peach says that she has no idea what map the X-Nauts are talking about, even though the professor mentioned that they were talking about the crystal stars earlier. Apart from that though, this scene plays out almost the same. The Nauts freak out because Mario got the first crystal star, Peach goes to take a shower, daydreams about Mario fighting Bowser— wait, what? Yeah, there's a random Bowser fight in this Peach scene. It's basically a free fight, but it does give you some star points, which means Mario somehow just leveled up from a shower thought that Peach had about him. Huh. Tech is also very interesting. He seems to be ace in this version, but he still says he needs to grow closer to Peach and talks about uncovering the truth about this world and that it's missing something. Weird. He does at least let us send an email though. Okay, back to Mario. There's a few things I wanted to do in between chapters, but before that, it's time for another blooper fight. This one's electric and his stats are much higher than those of the first one. He is also weak to fire and explosion attacks, but sadly I didn't have the right badge equipped anymore. He's honestly not that hard though, just kinda tanks a lot of hits. He does have one trick up his sleeve that kinda caught me by surprise, but luckily it's only for one turn, meaning I could just heal up again right after and then made light work of him. There's a couple new things that have opened up down here in the sewers, like Merle's place, where I decided to get the normal buff, as well as the respec place, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, this could be a good idea, it actually could be nice. Then I can use the Typhoon on like every enemy type. Okay, maybe it's not that good actually. Yeah, it's probably between Happy Heart and Zap type. I probably don't necessarily need it. I think Happy Heart makes the most sense.
This honestly might have been a pretty bad decision, because after getting the next crystal star on the map, upgrading Goombella, and finding the special badge that lets you change your skin, I decided to take on Dark Gus, the guy guarding East Rogueport, and oh boy. Goombella advises you not to fight him at the low level, and yeah, she's certainly right, this might not be the best idea. He's not even super guardable, meaning I actually have to somehow tank a bunch of his attacks that do insane damage. Miraculously, I actually only died to him once, although he took away literally all of my items, which really sucks. And it sucked even more after figuring out that there's literally nothing special over here, like seriously, there's nothing you can do at this point. I decided to take on a few troubles, but after that, just moved on to chapter 2. This place looks awesome and has some really tough enemies. Piranha plants that have 15 HP and are way too fast for me to consistently guard, rough puffs that can be really annoying with their electricity, stormy spinies that have pretty decent stats, Lakitus that can just spawn a bunch of those guys, and these daisies that are honestly really chill, they just kinda drain your FP. The Typhoon is still my saving grace here, as well as Art Attack, which is really nice for dealing a bunch of damage to a group of enemies. However, using it means that I can't use Sweet Treat to heal, so I can't use it very liberally. After a couple enemy encounters, we quickly arrive at the Great Tree for the first time, where Punio tells us that we need to keep walking. So we fight some more enemies and move past some obstacles until we arrive at Madame Flurry's place. She's missing her necklace like normal though, so time to go back to the start. I did get my next level up along the way, before arriving at the Shadow Sirens. Honestly, I was expecting this fight to be really hard going in, and their stats made me think I was right. They're all changed in very cool ways. Beldam uses ice magic and buffs the other two, Marilyn does explosion based attacks and can protect herself from direct attacks, and Vivian is an electric user, and also seemingly trans again. I was thinking I was really gonna struggle, but that fear quickly subsided. Vivian actually has negative physical defense, so she went down pretty quickly from my normal attacks, and the other two did certainly put up a fight, but it wasn't anything that I couldn't handle. Quick side note here, I don't really mind the backtrack ridden nature of TTYD, and in this mod it was even less noticeable to me, since these harder fights are just a lot of fun to do. Arriving at Flurry's place once again, she finally joins the team, and she's really damn strong. She starts with more health than the other two, and has a classic body slam, but also Frigid Force, which costs 6 HP to use, but damages every enemy and has a chance to freeze. Okay, back to the tree we go. Inside, we are immediately greeted by some X-Nauts. How nice of them. These are pretty much just the stronger X-Nauts from the base game. They've got 15 HP, 2 different attacks, and can drink potions to get pretty nasty damage buffs, but if they don't decide to do that right away, they're not that bad. The way you go about this place is also largely the same. The Punies don't like us yet, so we gotta try to rescue their Elder. The way up there is really straightforward, but of course with more new enemies. There's stronger Arachnids and already wizards at this point of the game. That's about it. After quickly getting up to the cells, we get some help from Mouse, but shortly after, this guy wakes up and reevaluates his life choices. With this key we can rescue the Elder, recruit some of the Punies, and then keep moving through the place until we arrive at the first Jabby fight, which the Punies easily take care of. This is already where you get the second key, however it's guarded by these dirty bubbles that are much harder than most of the enemies here. They have a bunch of different attacks that are all really hard to guard for me, and they hit you with poison that deals 2 damage per turn. I was barely able to clutch it out luckily, which got me a well-deserved level up. After getting the rest of the Punies and getting them over here, it's time for the second Jabby fight, where there's a bit of an ambush. Kinda wasn't expecting such a vast assortment of enemies out of nowhere, but it's nothing I hadn't seen before, so I managed to take care of all these guys. Well, after running right into another trap, comes the point where this chapter gets really unique, because after hitting the switch, stuff becomes kinda odd. Your partners start to disappear, these curse blocks are suddenly all over the place, and all of the safe blocks are replaced by this. Along the way you need to go, there's more of these switches that suddenly threaten you with blowing up the tree. There's also a book you can find along the way called Cursed Book Number 1. I love the fact that this mod is also shaping up to have a really cool custom story, even if you can only glimpse parts of it so far. After putting in the combination over here, everything is back to normal, and upon grabbing the stronger Venom boots, we are ambushed once again. This one is also essentially just a fight from way later in the game, though that fact certainly doesn't make it any easier. I mean, I did acknowledge the safe block before this door is suspicious, but I wasn't expecting something of this magnitude, and I really tried my best even after all my partners were dead, but yeah, that's gonna be another death.
Huh?
Yeah, that's probably fine. Time for another attempt. What? How? Yeah, that one definitely doesn't count. Okay, time for my second attempt at this fight, which went really well. Wasn't close at all, not even once. Let's just finish this quickly. After getting the punies back, we can make our way to the bottom of the tree, where we immediately see our boy Crump again, who of course pulls a detonator on us. Okay, time to get going. At least I saved along the way, which just makes the run back free now. Here we go, Magnus von Grapple 2.0. Believe me when I tell you, this is the hardest fight in these two chapters, a worthy final battle. He only has 100 HP, which isn't that much considering Gloomtail had 110 with both his phases, but he also has 2 defense and his attacks deal 6 damage. Not only that, but he can of course also send out his hands to attack individually, which also deals 6 damage. The hands are honestly the main part of this fight, because once he sends them out, you need to have some way to immediately take care of them, meaning you need to use your FP and especially your star power very strategically. Well, here goes nothing. Alright, let's do that one more time. Finally, after a well-deserved level up and the next crystal star, we're done with chapter 2. We also get some more ominous lore, another Peach scene, although I think it's just vanilla, and actually our first Bowser scene. He's on his way to Petal Meadows because the Mafia told him to go there, but apart from this change, there's nothing that interesting here yet. After saying bye to the Punies and going back to the 1000-Year Door, we can now enter West Rogueport, where we immediately run into some Magic Coopers wreaking havoc. These are some pretty cool custom Magic Cooper types. Poison ones that can inflict a couple different status effects, ice variants that you can't physically touch, and these fire guys that don't have anything that special, to be honest. At least taking care of these guys gets us immediate access to the Mafia boss's place, who tells us to get his daughter back from Petal Meadows, the exact place where he also sent Bowser. So we run over there, but before we can actually get to the town, we run into some of Bowser's strongest soldiers. These guys are pretty tough honestly, but again, nothing we can take care of at this point. Honestly, Bowser seems like he's really trying his best to just talk things out with these two, but of course we have to face him for one final fight. Alright, now just report back to the Mafia place, get the Glitzville ticket, and that's it for now. Of course, there's still some side content, such as the Pit of 100 Trials, but this video has already gotten a lot longer than I wanted it to, so maybe another time. This mod is seriously incredible though, and I cannot wait to play the whole thing when it releases.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, I know. Look, I'm not even gonna make any excuses, but to be fair, there's a couple unfinished videos that I was working on throughout that time that are probably still gonna see the light of day some point later this year. For now, there should be at least one video every month again. I'm extremely happy with all the support I've gotten so far, thank you so much. And why not subscribe so I can get to 1000, wink wink. Okay, that's it, see ya.